think I'm live. Hopefully the audio sounds good. And we're going to talk about like the 20 books I read this week. Most of them were children's books, so don't freak out, but I'm really happy with what I read this week. Hi Elizabeth. Hi Libby. Oh, you guys popped in here really fast. Hasn't even been 30 seconds yet. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah, I decided to do an early stream today. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if this will be a normal thing, but it works for now. Hi. Hi, Diana. Hi, Keisha. Welcome. Sorry, I don't know. I think my brain is not on right now, so probably because of the horrendous books I read this morning while I was still laying in bed. I don't think my brain ever recovered. Am I loud enough? I hope I'm loud enough. Hi, Miriam. Okay, so as an update to last week, yes, I'm loud enough. As an update to last week, I went back and I changed my review to Surprise Island and I made it a 2-star book instead. I went back and I reread some of the passages that kind of troubled me in audio. I went back and reread them in print just to like get a more clear idea in my mind of like how problematic did I feel that they were, and I think very. So I bumped it down. I don't know. It is a novel of its time and there has to be some leniency for that, but at the same time I didn't like it. So I bumped it down to a 2-star. It's just so unrealistic. So, anyway, that's a little bit of an update on that book. And then I don't know if I talked about rereading Animal Attraction. I think I talked about this last week, but I can't remember because I finished it last Sunday. But I reread Animal Attraction by Jill Shalvis, and I loved it. It was so good. I loved it even more the second time reading it than I did the first time. And I don't know, I could just really relate to the characters and their emotions and everything. This book is so good, which made the other books that I read after that really, really sad. So now we're getting into the actual other books that I read. I went on to book 3 in the Animal Magnetism series by Jill Shalvis. I think I mentioned that I was reading this last week, maybe. I hated it a lot. It made me very angry, and I ended up DNFing it somewhere between 60 and 70%. Because it was horrible, and I hated both the characters. And so basically this one is about the third brother, Adam. Is it Adam? Yeah, Adam. It's about the third brother, Adam. The first 2 followed the other 2 brothers. And this one is about the third brother, and he is a piece of crap and sucks. He struggles with like PTSD from when he was in the military, and he did like search and rescues in the military, and he struggles with that, and he hasn't been on like another mission since he has come home or whatever, even though his brothers go out and do them. He's only been training the dogs for it and stuff. And then his like ex-girlfriend from like 10 years ago, her dad's missing, and he's only been gone for like 3 days or whatever, and normally he'll go out for like up to a week by himself, and so nobody else will listen to her. She's like, I just have a really bad feeling that something's wrong. And she's like kind of desperate, so she goes to him even though like he broke her heart, and she convinces him to come and help her on a search and rescue. And it made me so angry. Let's see what else. Oh, Diana, I'm tired too. Your cat woke you up at 4 a.m. Oh, geez. Oh, yay, a storm. That's always fun. Oh, yeah, yesterday was we didn't have a storm, but it was like very like rainy and cold all day yesterday. I think that it was like 60 degrees. Which is crazy, since it's the end of June. What is it doing? I am not used to this weather. Normally, like in California, it would be like 100 degrees, so it's strange. Anyway, the things that really irritated me about this book. First off, he does end up having... He ends up getting kind of forced into like a search and rescue accidentally or whatever. He just happens to kind of be there. So he's running, he hasn't slept in like 2 days and hasn't eaten in like 2 days, so he's really hungry and really tired and exhausted, and he like pulled something in his shoulder and all this stuff because he like held on to a kid off like the side of a cliff for a long time or whatever. He like went down and grabbed him, and they had to hold on until people could get there. And so that's already happened. And then she comes and she's like, oh, will you come? And he's like, yeah, sure. He agrees to it. So he's running on like 4 hours of sleep after not sleeping for like 2 whole days. And they're very tired and all this stuff. And she's like really worried about her dad dying. I don't know if I talked about this last week. Correct me if I did. But she's like very worried about her dad like being dead or something out on the mountain, and it's like snowy and like very cold. It's like the middle of winter, and they end up having sex, and it really, really annoyed me that she's like so worried about her dad and all this stuff, and instead of like saving their energy and like letting him get rest, like she knows that he didn't sleep for like over 2 whole days and knows that she's still injured and on very low energy and stuff, instead of letting him sleep and instead of like controlling their emotions and dealing with it after the fact, they just have sex. And oh, it irritated me so much. So that was kind of like the first thing. But then he kept saying these really like sexist comments. What day did I finish this? I finished it June 18th, so I did end up DNFing it the next day. So I think I talked about when I was currently reading. So I just was very mad because I get annoyed when characters are idiots, and they were idiots. If you're hearing a lot of noise, I think Chris is cleaning the bathtub right now. And I'm live streaming and he's cleaning the bathtub. So I think that's what he's running right now, the water in the bathroom. Let's see. It was almost 80 here. Oh. Yeah, they jump right into bed, and it's so, I don't know. I just get annoyed with like stupid characters, because I don't know. How are you that concerned about your father, but then you're not even going to let the person who actually knows what they're doing sleep and stuff, and they're just having sex to like hide their feelings and not actually ending up talking about stuff. So that just like irritated me. But what I really hated about this book was Adam. He is misogynist. He's constantly like making like very important decisions for her, and just like not even like asking her opinion or whatever, just deciding like, I know what's best for you, and you're not mature enough, and you're not like in control of your emotions enough to like deal with stuff, so I'm just not even going to tell you, and I'm just going to make decisions for you. And then I wrote down a couple lines that I just thought were like super great in the book. And so here they are. He said to a dog was like cuddling up and like trying to get his attention and stuff. And he said, quote, "You're an attention hoe. You know that, like a woman." And then he also used you do something like a girl. He said, "You drive like a girl." And is like, "Actually, no, that's insulting. You drive like a grandma." And, so he's just like a really big dick. And there were like several other comments. I didn't write them down, unfortunately, and I don't remember what they were, but those were like the two biggest ones that stood out. And he just kept saying things like that. And I don't know. There was just like no trust between them, especially with him, with her. He just could not trust her and couldn't believe that she was like a mature enough person. And she says, he's like, he's telling her what she wants, and he's like, "You want a man that will settle down and have a white picket fence with you, and you want children and stuff." And she said, "No, I don't." She's like, "I've been married. I'm divorced. I know that's not what I want." And he said, "Yes, it is. That is exactly what you want." And he like won't even let her have the chance to decide if she wants to have a relationship or a not relationship with him or whatever. He won't even give her the chance because he knows what she wants better than she does, even though she's already experienced the thing that he says that she wants and she knows that she doesn't want it. And I don't know. I just had a feeling that if I continued reading it, that in the end, that would be what she wanted. And I couldn't deal with that. Anyway, I DNF'd it because it made me really, really angry. And I don't know why Joel Chavez wrote such a horrible, horrible character. He sucked so much. So I had a really great start to my week. Let's see. I don't remember the last time I've been to a water park. I think I was like 8, maybe younger. It's been a really long time. I think I've only ever been to like one once. But an inner tube sounds really fun. It does, honestly. Anyway, I'm very upset about this book. I am going to continue on to book 4, simply for the fact that I really loved book 1 and I especially loved book 2, but I don't know why book 3 was such a piece of crap, and I'm very disappointed. So, we'll try book 4 and see how it goes. But I'm angry. And then I also continued on and read The Yellow House Mystery by Gertrude Chandler Warner. This is book 3 in the Boxcar Children's series, and I gave it 1 star, and I hated it. It was even more problematic than the second book, and I don't know, there were just a lot of things that irritated me. The story, like, made no sense, and the children, I don't know, the police went through, like, this person went missing, and the police, like, went through their house and searched the whole thing, like, top to bottom, and, like, try to, like, find out what happened to him and find any clues or anything. And they couldn't. And so now it's, like, 40 years later, or 50 years later. It's a good amount of time later. And the children hear about this, and they're like, well, we're gonna go look in the house then to see if we can figure out what the police couldn't. And they find, like, a really important clue in like 5 minutes. And I was like, are you kidding me? Really? Really? Really now? I don't know. That was just like kind of like the start. And I think I mentioned last week how like they let the little boy like set off the explosives and all the stuff. It was just like so unrealistic and jarring. And then they end up going on this like, I don't know, this like canoeing trip. And they like lost all their food, and I don't know, it was just like so stupid. And then they ended up meeting this little Indian girl, and they literally call her the Indian girl for like 7 times. They know her name and they just keep calling her the Indian girl. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You would never in a million years hear the sentence the white girl like in a book like this. Ever. You would never hear that. You'd never hear them just say, oh, we followed the white girl down the road, and we followed the white girl through the forest, and we asked the white girl this question. Like, never. And, like, they knew her name. Oh my gosh. It just, it was so irritating, and I just couldn't deal, and I hated everything about it, and it sucked, and I gave it 1 star. I don't recommend. I don't know if I want to. I remember really liking book 4 when I read it. So I may just try book 4 and then maybe try to give up on the series after that if I don't enjoy book 4. But I just don't think reading this series is worth the emotional trauma that it's giving my soul, because it's really bothering me a lot. Okay. You had the 10,000 step goal. Awesome. Yes, I am early today. Hi, Bruna. I'm just complaining about the terrible books I read. But then, oh, here's another one that I didn't like. Okay, let's talk about a couple more disappointing ones before we talk about the good stuff. So I ended up DNFing the Night Circus somewhere in the 30 to 35% mark. And I gave it 2 stars. I just could not get into it. I didn't care about anything. And that was my biggest part. Follow the Indian girl definitely can't be doing that in books today. I know, and it's like, I don't know. And they shouldn't have been doing it in the book then. Because once they know her name, why would you call her anything but her name? It just doesn't make, I don't know. Ugh. It really made me mad. Anyway, the Night Circus. Sorry, Miriam. I just couldn't get into it, and I don't know. In my review, in my thoughts of the book, I said it felt like every time I was trying to read this, I was like pulling teeth because I was just so bored. And really, I just could not get into it. I just tried and I tried and I tried, and every time I would turn it on, I would just like instantly zone out. I couldn't. Not for me. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't see anything, like, wrong with it. I just was boring. It was really, really boring. And I feel kind of bad because it was for book club. It was my pick for book club with my sisters. And I made everyone else read it. So my 3 sisters, my mom, and I all read it. I'm the only one that didn't finish, and it was my pick. 2 of my sisters didn't like it. My mom liked it, and my other sister loved it, and she said it was so great. So at least I introduced this book to my sister. We can look on a positive side, but I didn't care for it. And I mean, it's one of those books that like I probably never will come back to, but it's something that I wouldn't say no to ever coming back to. Like maybe if I'm in the mood at some point in the future, I'll try it. But I don't see myself ever doing that. It's on your TBR. See, yeah, a lot of other people really like it. It's just, I don't know, not for me, I guess. And it has mostly 5 stars, like most people love it, and it has like a bajillion ratings. I actually didn't realize how many ratings it had. On Goodreads it has over 500,000, which is a lot more than I expected. And yeah, and actually right like when I decided to DNF it, I do the staff picks at work, and one of the girls gave me her staff pick sheet, and she chose the Night Circus, and I was like, well, I'm not going to tell her that I just DNF'd it, so I still haven't brought it up to her, but yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't my thing. And then the other kind of disappointing book that I read next was Lucinda's Secret, book 3 in the Spiderwick Chronicles. It wasn't disappointing. This series is fun. It just doesn't have a lot of substance, and that's my biggest issue with it. It's even though I like each book on their own at like a 3-star level, we don't have it in the bookstore currently, and it's not something I would ever want to bring into the bookstore because I don't think it's worth the money. Let me see. Just going on to Amazon or whatever. So $10? I don't even know if this is still in print. Oh no, that's the Arabic version. So maybe it's... Okay, so it's a $13 book. A $13 book for like so little story. And that's my biggest issue with it. Like, I don't think it's a bad series. I actually think it's a quite good like children's series, but it's just not engaging enough. And the only thing that would make it worth it is if it was like in a bind up where it was like maybe less than $16 for a full bind up of all 5 books. But otherwise it's just not worth it because there's just not enough story. Like, once you finish one, you're just like, but that was barely anything. Give me more. And I don't feel that very often when reading children's books. I'm happy with where they wrap up. But these, I don't know. I just didn't get it. And that kind of is what irritated me the most about this. So even though I like them all on a 3-star level, it's only like a 3-star or maybe just below a 3-star level for me. Anyway, I guess I'll just talk about the other ones right now. So I also went on and read book 4 and book 5, and I don't know, I was reading some people's review of book 5 and saying how it was such a good end to the series and stuff like that, and I also don't agree with that. I think the ending was super anticlimactic and just kind of dumb, honestly, and I don't know. I did like the series when I was younger, but I don't plan to go on and read Beyond Spiderwick Chronicles or whatever it's called. I don't plan to read them. I don't know. Underwhelmed, disappointed. I think the best thing about the series, which I missed out on since I listened to them, was the art. I know the art in these books are really good. I've looked at them before, and I used to own the whole series, and the art is beautiful, and that's like the best thing. Actually, the art for like book number 4, I think that is so pretty. I love that. That epitomizes what I love. It's like very like Snow White-esque, but she has like a sword, so she looks like a warrior and stuff like that. One thing I do really like this series as well is the sister, whatever her name is, that she's like a fencer. And gender roles are something that's not really ever like discussed in this. It's just like they each love different things, and she's like the fighter of the family and stuff, and I like that, and I really appreciate that. So that's another good point, but I don't know. I'm glad I reread them because it made me confident in asking to not bring them into the bookstore. Now let's talk about the good stuff, though. Lots of good stuff. Okay, so first I read Little Moments of Love. This just came out on June 19th, so it's brand new. When it came into the bookstore, I just kind of started flipping through it, and I loved it, and I laughed and laughed and laughed through it, and it just like, so much of it just like epitomizes Christopher's and my relationship, and it was so cute and so funny. I adored everything about it. It's just like a little comics, and each like page or 2 pages are just like their own individual little things, and oh, so funny. I basically was just, when I read it, I usually stay late after work, after I punch out, just waiting for Chris to come pick me up, because his work is further away than mine by like 5 minutes, so he'll drop me off, go to work, and then he'll come and pick me up, but he has to stay a little bit longer at work than I do. And so I just like was taking pictures of all the ones that I thought were very much us, and I took like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I took like 25 and I skipped like a good chunk of the ones that I thought like were very us. The first one that I saw that was just like so perfect is like, oh jeez, let me see if I can put a lock on this. Like I don't know if you'll even be able to see this, but like his shower versus my shower, and his shower is like just like normal, and literal flames are coming out for my shower. And I sent that to Chris, and he was like, "That is so us." Like, I like my showers very hot, and Chris likes them freezing. They're so cold when he takes them. Anyway, you love those strips. You've read them online. I've seen some of those. Are great. They're so funny, and I've never read any of them before, and I just absolutely loved it. I want to buy the book. I think I'm going to, because I just want to support someone who does this, and it was so great. I loved every single second of it, and I like flew through it and devoured it, and it was so good. If you want to know what Christopher and my relationship is like, it's this. So I loved that. And then I read Colty by Mariana Zapata. Please do. It's excellent. So Colty by Mariana Zapata. I ended up reading this because one of the Ripped Bodice summer book bingo challenges was to read a book about soccer. And I was like, oh, so I can't just get away with any old, like, sports romance, which I've never read a sports romance before. So I was like, okay, so it has to be a soccer book. And so then I looked up, like, what the most popular soccer books was, and this was one of them. And I was like, oh, people have been telling me forever to read Colty, and people have been talking forever about Colty, and apparently this book is amazing, so I decided to pick it up. And I really liked it. I mean, I understand why the hype is there. So it's about this girl who has been playing soccer for like 20 years. And one of the main reasons that she started playing soccer was because she ended up seeing a soccer player called Colty on like one of his first games. And she would just like fell in love with him, like as a player. And then as she like got older, she had like a huge crush on him, and she had like pictures all over her wall, and she was just like totally in love with him, and she told everyone like, I'm gonna marry him one day and all this stuff. And then she eventually got over the crush, and now she's like 25, 26, 27, 28, somewhere around there, and he becomes the coach of her soccer team. And it's just like about their like friendship developing and stuff. It's a very slow burn romance, like very slow burn. And it was really engrossing. I felt the same way reading this as I do reading like most of Kristen Ashley's books. It's just, they're kind of long, but then you just kind of start them and you like read them in like 1 or 2 days. And that's how I felt about this one. Like every second that I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about it and wanting to read it. Star Wars The Original Trilogy in hardback. A graphic novel or like physical, like genuine books? Because the only reason I say graphic novel is because I know they fairly recently came out with like a Star Wars trilogy, original trilogy graphic novel. So that's the only reason I said that. I've never read a Star Wars book. I don't think I ever will read a Star Wars book. But I'm sorry if Chris is being too loud. I think he's trying to be quiet, but I think he doesn't realize how loud he's being sometimes because he's wearing headphones. I don't know. If you've been wanting to read Colty, I recommend it. It was, I don't know, it was just so compelling. I'm trying to think of like more specific things to say without like spoiling anything, I actually really like the audiobook cover because she's like doing an awesome kick. And this is the cover that was on Audible when I was listening to it. And I just like stared at this for like, I swear, like hours while listening to it. I would just stare at this and I'm like, how did she jump that high and kick that hard and move her body like that? How did she do it? Anyway, I don't know. Basically, when she like meets Colty, he's kind of like a dick, and then eventually she like calls him out on it, and she's like, stop sucking. She's like, you just need to stop. And he kind of like takes it as like a slap to the face, and then I don't know, it's about their friendship, and it was just really cute. And I don't know, I just enjoyed like every minute of it. My biggest thing about this one though was just that I don't care about sports at all, and Chris and I, this kind of sparked a huge discussion that we had in the car on the way to work one day, just about how much we don't understand sports. Like, we will never get why people like sports, because neither of us enjoy watching them at all. And so, like, that was interesting, and us talking about it and how we don't relate to that at all and how we never will. So, like, I didn't relate to it at all, but I still really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, almost $100 on Book Outlet. Holy frick. Did you get some good things? Okay, so the next book that I read, which I was astounded by, so I've never read, oh, someone just started mowing. If that's too loud, let me know. Sorry. Something that astounded me that I'd never read before was Mrs. Frisby and the Rats of Nim by Robert C. O'Brien. This book is about a mouse called Mrs. Frisby whose son Timothy gets very sick, and she like takes him to like the doctor mouse, and he basically tells her that he has pneumonia. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. He's sick and that they shouldn't move him, but their big move across the field is about to happen because otherwise their house is gonna get like mowed down, because they live on a farm and they're gonna like plow everything. And so she's like, oh no, what are we gonna do? And so then she ends up going on a bit of a quest to like try to find help of what to do, because even if they can make the move without it like killing her son, he's gonna have like be in the wetness and stuff, and that's gonna hurt his lungs. Pneumonia, is that right? I don't know, my brain. Anyway, I haven't read Gregor the Overlander. Is that by Collins? I have no desire to ever read anything by her again, but it's one of those ones that, like, if I run out of books, then I would read it, but I don't think I ever will. How do you like the School of Good and Evil series? I've only read book 1 and I didn't care for it. I don't know. I just didn't care for Hunger Games at all and thought it was so boring. I think I tried to read it twice, and I think the second time I like finished, but like only by skimming. Oh no, you love the School of Good and Evil series. Oh, I was so disappointed when I read it. Anyway, this book is apparently fairly different than The Rats of Nim, like the movie, which is a Don Bluth movie, and I've never seen it. I've just heard of this book for a while, and it's on the summer reading list for the area that I'm in for the kids, and so I wanted to read some of the books on that list so that I can like make informed recommendations and stuff and give informed opinions. So I read this and I freaking loved it. It was so good. I mean, if you don't know what it's about and if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend just like going in blind. It takes a little bit to get into it. And when I first started listening to it, I listened for like 5 minutes and I was like, I'm not in the mood for this. And I put it off for like a week and then I tried again. And I'm so glad I read it. I was astounded by this. This book is phenomenal. It's so interesting and super intelligent, and I just, it kind of blew my mind, and I'm still like reeling a little bit in the aftershocks of how much I loved this book. It was incredible, and I really, really recommend it. I've heard that the sequels are written by Robert's daughter, and apparently they suck. So I'm not going to continue on. I'm just going to read this as a standalone. And honestly, I think it's best as a standalone. Just the way it ends, I think, is bold and interesting and really good. I loved it a lot. And if you haven't read it, please, please go read this because it's amazing. You thought Twilight was boring and you napped it when you're 15 pages in. Well, Twilight is boring. I mean, a lot of other people love it. It just really disappointed me, as so many people talked about it being like fairy tale-esque, and I didn't like the fairy tale-esque things, and I thought it was, ugh, no, I did not like it. They're separate things. Yeah, I heard that they're fairly different. I don't know if I ever want to watch the movies. Maybe at some point. I do enjoy quite a few of Bluth's, is that his name? Films? But I also don't watch movies anymore, so it would take a lot for me to actually want to watch this, especially knowing how different they are and knowing that there's like magic and stuff. This is a science fiction book. Science fiction children's, and it was phenomenal. And after reading this, I was like, I think I want to read every Newbery book. I think I do. I think I went through and I read about 15. I don't know if that's just of the winners or the honors, but I've read about 15. I think that was just the winners. But I think I want to reread most of those, so I think I'm only at about like 4 or 5 for medal of winners, that books that I'm like, okay, I've read this recently enough and I have an informed opinion on it. So I don't know, there's like over 300 though, so it would take a really long time, but I think I want to because I don't know, this just blew my mind. Let's see. I haven't seen it. I didn't even know that Netflix is making that into a movie. I really liked book 1 and I hated book 2 and I didn't continue. I heard that it was being adapted, but I don't know. It's one of those books that I'm not sure if I would like if I read it now. Okay, so then after being completely floored by Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim, you should have heard my like 10-minute Voxer message that I sent to Chris, just like raving about how amazing it was. Um, like such an intelligent book. That Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim did for me what I was hoping that A Wrinkle in Time would do for me. I read A Wrinkle of Time and I liked it, but I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Whereas, like, this one worked for me so much. Okay, so then I went on and I read Beezus and Ramona for the first time. I've never read any of the Ramona books. I read quite a few of Cleary's other books outside of, like, the Ramona stories, but I hadn't ever read this one. And I was, like, rolling on the floor. It was so funny. I mean, Ramona is such a brat, and she's super obnoxious, but I just loved Beezus. Beezus stole my heart, and I just laughed my whole way through this book. It's hysterical, and clever, and sweet, and I just love how imaginative Cleary is in her writing of characters and stuff. Ramona reminds me of, like, a very much more annoying version of Emily from Emily's Runaway Imagination, which is one of my favorite children's books of all time, which now I extra especially want to reread. So I think what I'm actually going to do with Cleary, because Henry is in this. Henry and Ribsy. What is Henry's first name? Let's go see. Henry Huggins was in this, and I didn't realize, so I think I actually want to go back and read her books publication order, because Henry was in this and I wasn't expecting that, and I do believe I have read Henry Huggins, but it's been a long time, so I want to reread her books in, like, chronological order of, no, sorry, not chronological order, publication order, and that way I can kind of, like, get all the interlinking characters and how they all fit into each other's, like, worlds and stuff. So that's kind of the plan going forward. But I'm really glad that I read this, and it kind of, like, kicked off my start of, like, realizing how much I still love Cleary as an author. Henry Higgins. Sorry. Yeah, some of the books that I read when I was a teenager as well, I kind of, like, look back on them and I'm like, or I'll look at books nowadays and I'm like, I would have loved that when I was like 15, but I wouldn't touch that with, like, a 10-foot pole now. Like, this is not my thing anymore. I know, it's hard to keep up with all the new, like, book-to-movie adaptations without Lala doing her, bookmarked every month anymore. I miss bookmarked so much. They're so good. The Ramona books, oh my gosh. Cleary is so great. Henry Higgins. Is that what... Isn't Henry... Is that his name? Isn't it Henry Higgins? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I was just, like, making sure that was his first name. Oh gosh, I can't spell. Because I was like, poor Professor Higgins. I know, but Henry Higgins is a character, and that's why I thought it was so funny, because he's from My Fair Lady, which I hate My Fair Lady, by the way. I do not like that movie. Anyway, and I feel like I'm alone in that, but he's a jerk, so anyway. I also don't like The Music Man. I know, yeah, he's in a few of Ramona's books, and he was in this first one, and I was like, wait a second, and so then I was like looking at publication dates, and I was like, okay, I need to start over. Okay, so then I went on and I picked up on a whim. I'd never heard of it before. Hearts in Darkness by Laura Kay. And I loved it. It was so cute. So basically I was trying to find books set in snowstorms to kind of use as my like extreme location for the Ripped Bodice book bingo. And instead of finding, I was looking at books with forced proximity because a lot of those are because of snowstorms and romance. And so I was looking up those, and all I was finding were like romantic suspense about like people getting like almost raped or chased or people trying to kill them or whatever in snowstorms. And I was like, I do not want that. And then I ended up coming across this book, which totally did not fit for the extreme location at all. This was like opposite of extreme location, but I was intrigued by the plot, so I just like picked it up on a whim. It's super short. It's only 100 pages long, and it's just about this guy and this girl that get trapped in an elevator together for like 5 hours in the dark, for like half the night. And most of the book is just them talking to each other all night in the darkness, and it was so cute. I loved these characters. They're so adorable. So it's Caden and McKenna, and Caden suffers from PTSD and anxiety, and he also has like a fear. He has claustrophobia and like a fear of darkness, and so being trapped in this like little elevator in the dark like really sets off like his like panic attacks. And so they just like talk all night, and he like asks her to talk to him to like help him keep it under control and like keep his mind off of his claustrophobia. And it was just so stinking cute. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was incredible and amazing, and I really, really recommend it if you want like just a super short, sweet, cute romance. It was so good. His tattoos actually have a lot of meaning behind them, and it's talked about a lot about what all his different tattoos mean. He has like 4 more, and you can see them on the sequels cover. Actually, I ended up going and immediately reading book 2 because I just loved book 1 so much, and so you can see a couple more of his tattoos there. And obviously it's like a different cover model. The tattoos are slightly different looking, but you can see a couple more of his tattoos, and it was so good. I really loved book 2 as well. I thought the end, this one is also very short. This one's just 200 pages. I think it was like a little over 5 hours on audio. So altogether it was like a normal sized book length. I think the end was kind of dragged out. This is one of those romance series that does follow, since it's a little duology, it just follows one couple the whole time. And I think where it was split off and stuff made a lot of sense as far as like pacing and story wise. So I'm actually glad that they were split as 2 books. I do think the end was dragged out in this one though. I just thought it was like very much like we were in novel land at this point, and it's like some of the things that happened near the end of this book, I'm like, really? This is just because it's like a book. Like this would not have happened in real life. Like, this is just way too much of a coincidence to happen in real life. Like, not a freaking chance. So that kind of, like, brought down my rating. Honestly, I almost rated this 5 stars up until, like, the last hour when I got kind of frustrated with the book. So it brought it down to, like, a 4 or 4.5 again. But I really loved this. Book 2 especially. I love the way that Laura describes how he feels about his anxiety and trauma and his depression. And how he works through it and deals with it and stuff. I just thought it was really good, and I really, really, really related to him. Reading it, it just, like, was crushing my heart a little bit, and I was just like, ugh. It wasn't to the point where, like, there's other books that I've read about people who have anxiety that have, like, really triggered my own anxiety, but I think because I had my major anxiety spurt before this, and I went through, like, I had a couple panic attacks this week, like midweek, and so then by the time I got to this, I had already went through those, so it didn't like re-trigger it, but I feel like it might have maybe if I hadn't, because just like the way she described it, I related to so much. So if I hadn't already gone through that, I think I might have been triggered by it. But oh, they were so good, and I absolutely loved like every second of both of them, except for the very end of the last one. I was just like kind of like, oh my gosh, are you serious? But I really, really loved them, and I recommend them if you want a really cute, snappy, hard-hitting, not too traumatizing contemporary romance. They were great. Sorry, what did you say? I don't know. I don't really love Julie Andrews or Audrey Hepburn. So I'm kind of like meh about both of it. And I don't know why they always have tribal tattoos, but it does have a purpose, and each of his tattoos, there's like a reason why he got it, and yeah, it's like a big part of the story. He doesn't have tattoos just for the sake of it. He also has spider bites and a barbell, in case you're wondering, or in case you wanted to know. This came out in 2016 though, so it's just 2 years old. Another book that I read a bunch of books on Friday, and that's kind of what most of these were. I did end up reading the first book, in the Hearts of Darkness, I ended up reading on Friday, and then the second book I ended up reading on Saturday night. I was up till like 2 a.m. reading it. So then I actually went on and read Ada Lace on the Case by Emily Calandrelli. I like books like this because it's about a girl wanting to be a scientist, and I think that's really cute and important to have books like this, but at the same time, it just felt so unrealistic because she had like a really high-tech camera that she could connect up to her iPad and all this stuff, and she just like had all this like high-tech equipment like at the tips of her fingers. I'm just like, this was not me as a kid, and I don't think this is not a lot of children now. I mean, some children, especially if they like live in like richer neighborhoods and have like richer parents and stuff like that, maybe have access to all this, but I certainly didn't as a kid. And at first I was like really enjoying it, and she's like keeping a field guide because she like Charles Darwin did and all stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then all of a sudden she like pulls out her camera to like spy on her neighbors, and I was like, what the frick? Basically, Ada Lace is this little girl who I think they just moved into the neighborhood, and she hasn't made any friends yet, and her leg is broken, so she's like still recovering from that. No, not her leg, her arm or her leg is broken. I think it's her leg, actually. And then like her neighbor's dog disappears, and so she like wants to find out what happened to the dog instead of just like asking her neighbor where the dog is. So it was like ridiculous and obnoxious, but at the same time it was still fun, and I don't think it was anything like harmful for kids. Like, it wasn't 100% my cup of tea, but I still really liked it. And I mean, I still liked it. I wouldn't say really. I still liked it. I gave it 3 stars, and I think books about like female scientists for children are really important, but maybe doing it in a more relatable and realistic way would have been appreciated than her just like having all this like high-tech stuff. Okay, let's see. More things I read this week. The Wicked and the Wallflower. Book 1 in the Bare Knuckle Bastards series by Sarah McLean. This book just came out on the 19th, so brand new release again. I only have 2 more books left to read of Sarah McLean's until I've read all of her backlist, and then I'll just be waiting for her new releases. But I wanted to jump on this one because it was a brand new series. First book in a new series, and I liked this one. I actually liked it better after listening to the interview that she ended up having with her editor at the end. I don't know. I didn't find it the most gripping throughout, and I didn't find it the most, like, compelling or believable. But it was just, like, fun historical romance that was outside of the norm a little bit. It's about this girl who is, like, a wallflower, and she's kind of been shunned, and she was part of a little bit of a scandal, and she's just kind of sick of it. So she's hiding in a ball, and she picks the lock of a room and goes and hides in it, and she's just, like, talking to herself because she does that when she's, like, stressed out, and she ends up coming in, and this guy is there, and he's not supposed to be at the ball, and actually he's planning on hurting the person who's giving the ball, like the Duke, him and his brother. And so you're kind of figuring out why they're doing that, and she ends up talking to him for a bit, and then when she leaves, he ends up following her, and she ends up telling, like, a bunch of people that she's engaged to the Duke, and it just, like, comes out of her mouth as, like, this huge lie, and she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that. She was just, like, really frustrated and wanting people to just, like, stop picking on her. And then, I don't know, it's about this deal that she ends up making with the guy that she met at the beginning, and he said that he'll, like, make the Duke follow through in the engagement and want to marry her if she'll, like, make a deal with him, and his name is Devil. Oh my gosh, it was a little bit eye-rolly at times, a bit ridiculous, but I mean, I think her club one, what is it called? This one, The Rules of Scoundrels. I think that series will forever be my favorite books by her. I loved book 2, 3, and 4 in that. But I still really enjoyed this, and if you're planning on reading it, I mean, go ahead and read it. It was very enjoyable, but not the most, like, amazing one I've ever read. It was still fun, though. If a bit, like, eye-rolly. I went on to read Girls Who Code, The Friendship Code, book 1, The Friendship Code, by Stacy, I don't know how to say her name. You can figure it out. Deutsch. This is kind of what I wanted a little bit more from Ada Lace. I don't know. I personally enjoyed it, like, on a 3-star level. But for how important I think books like this are, and how awesome I think Girls Who Code is, I gave it a 4-star on here. It's, again, a little bit unbelievable, but it was more believable, and it taught you about coding. And I thought that was really important, and obviously what Girls Who Code is trying to teach you. And it was just like, I mean, I learned stuff about coding that I didn't know word for word. Like, I know a little bit how coding works, but not very much. But I've, like, obviously seen code written out and stuff. This book was not great as an audiobook, is the only thing. The narrator was fine, but reading code out loud sounds like gibberish, because there's lots of, like, dashes and things like that. And so she was literally describing it, like, as, like, squiggly line, underscore, 00, underscore, blah, 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 squiggly line, like, saying them out loud like that. And I think it would have been a lot better physically read. My bad. But it's basically this girl, and she joins coding club. I didn't love the main character. I actually found her quite obnoxious. But she does grow as a person throughout this first book, and she kind of learns a little bit to stop jumping to conclusions and stop being an idiot. I don't know. I still enjoyed it, and I thought it was really cute and very important, and you learn about loops, variables, input, and output. So, anyway, I like it, and I do plan on continuing on with the series, and then I'll be able to recommend them to girls at the store. At the bookstore. I mean, I could recommend it to boys too, but something literally called Girls Who Code, you think you would recommend more to girls. But, I know we have the first 2 books in the store, I believe, so now we'll actually be able to, like, tell them to read it because I've read them myself. Anyway, it was really good and I like it. I then went on to read A Bear Called Paddington, which I've never read before, by Michael Bond, and it was cute. I mean, it was just really freaking weird. Oh, bye, Bruna. Travel safe. This book is just, I don't know. It's a strange one. I've been wanting to read it for a while. I still haven't read the Winnie the Pooh books, and I think I'm gonna, like, make my final decision on this book once I read Winnie the Pooh, kind of as an idea of which one I like more, although I'm pretty sure I know which one I'll like more. I don't know, this book was just strange, and Paddington was honestly kind of obnoxious. He doesn't know very much. So he does a lot of dumb things all the time, and it gets kind of annoying. But it was still really cute, and I don't know. Like, I liked it. It was really weird. And I didn't grow up with Paddington at all. I've never seen, like, any of the movies or anything. I was never read any of these books. Literally all I knew about Paddington was, like, when the first movie came out in, like, 2014 or 2015, one of the first, like, newer movies. And I saw, like, the credits for it every single day when I worked in the movie theater. And that's all I knew about Paddington before going into this, which is, like, remember seeing the credits and stuff. And, like, maybe the preview when it came out. So, like, I knew nothing. I had no nostalgia for this. I don't know. I thought it was fun and funny. It was just really weird. I have no idea how close to the movie it is. None. The next thing that I went on and read was How to Train Your Dragon, Book 4, How to Cheat a Dragon's Curse by Cressida Cal. This book has one of the most ridiculous, stupid endings I've ever read. I don't know. I'm now a third of the way through this series, and I think I may DNF at this point. I'm not sure. Chris says that they get really, really, really good, but I just don't know if I have the time to read them since I'm not very much enjoying them. Like, I like them on a 3-star level. I just don't think Cressida Cal and I have the same humor. Because I find a lot of the things in her books kind of stupid and fairly annoying. So, like, I don't know. I'm very up in the air about this series, but I've read 4 of them now. Just none of them have astounded me. I think I liked book 1 the best, and definitely the best part of book 4 was was David Tennant saying the word potato like a million times. But definitely the best part of these books are that it's narrated by David Tennant, and if it wasn't, I don't know if I would have even gotten this far. I don't know. They're fine. They're enjoyable. Very ridiculous, but I don't think they're my humor, and I think I may have to give up soon. You're back. Someone was at the door. Alright. See, and yeah, if I had had that, like, nostalgic connection with Paddington, I might have enjoyed it better, but I didn't. I don't. I don't have it. Okay, so then I read some of the dumbest books of my life this morning. Mercy Watson, To the Rescue by Kate DiCamillo. Illustrated by Chris Van Dusen. And Mercy Watson goes for a ride. Book 1 and Book 2. The Mercy Watson series. I haven't read Daughter of Smoke and Bones yet, but I need to. I own them. Just haven't gotten to them yet. Oh, I'm sorry you have to leave soon though. I'll try to wrap this up. Yes, he narrates How to Train Your Dragon, and that's definitely the best part of them. Is just that they're narrated by David Tennant. Wow, everyone's just making you run all the errands for them today. How rude. Okay, so Mercy Watson is about this stupid fat pig called Mercy, who all she thinks about is toast. I don't know. I was describing these books to Christopher this morning. Like, literally, as soon as he woke up, he, like, sat up, and he was like, hi, good morning. And then we kind of just, like, laid on the bed and, like, talked for, like, I don't know, like, 30, 40 minutes. And basically, we just, like, laid there, and I told him the plot of Book 1 and Book 2, because I read them this morning. I listened to them on audiobook this morning in bed while he was still asleep. And he just laughed and laughed and laughed. Like, his laugh is my favorite thing ever. And he just thought it was so funny. He's like, what was this book? It is so stupid. And I was like, I know. It's about, just basically about this pig. And the plots are, like, non-existent and dumb. And it's just about this dumb pig who never gets any sort of, like, she never learns anything from the dumb, stupid stuff that she does. It's not like a talking pig or anything. Like, this is technically, like, realistic. Like, it could happen, even though you are seeing the pig's point of view. It was just so stupid. I just couldn't deal with how freaking dumb these books are and all the characters are. All the characters in these books are absolute idiots. And I hated it. Oh my gosh. Let me see, sorry. You had to put it down to the side for later. Isn't that always what happens, though? I don't know. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I like the art in it. It's very colorful and bright. But it was just so pointless. So absolutely pointless. And I don't know. Just wasn't my cup of tea. The reason I read this is because they sell pretty well at the bookstore, and I just wanted to get an opinion on them. What really just topped it off, though, was Book 2, Mercy Watson Goes for a Ride, was so stupid. And they all just speak so weird. Like, none of them speak normally at all. They just speak in these really strange words and turns of phrase, and I genuinely just didn't care for these. Like, they were okay. They weren't the worst things ever, but Mercy is so stupid. Look at her dumb face. I hate her so much. The end. Then I went on to read the Princess in Black series. I read Book 1 and Book 2 and Book 3 this morning by Shannon Hale and Dean Hale. I kind of want to look up this narrator and see what else they've done because not narrator, oh my gosh, this illustrator, because the illustrations in this are beautiful. Okay, I think I'm going to have to go and read, like, everything that she's illustrated because the illustrations are simply stunning. There's complete flip-throughs, I think, with the audiobook on YouTube if you want to look at them. But I just don't think the message is great. It's all about this princess who no one can know that she, like, fights monsters and keeps the kingdom safe. I don't know why they can't know that, but princesses don't wear black, and princesses can't do this, and princesses can't do that. And so she like runs around in these like pink fluffy ball gowns, but really she's like running and saving the kingdom all the time. But nobody knows, and I don't know, I find that idea that not being your true self, I find it harmful, and I really don't like the message behind these books of like them not being able to show your true self and having to hide something that people don't approve of and stuff like ooh. Ugh. So, anyway, let's see. Don't check them out. They're not good. No, I did never find out from Scribd. I still need to contact them. I had a rough week, and that definitely fell to the lowest of my priorities, but I think I might try this week if I feel up to it. It was a very interesting week at work. I don't know. The illustrations is gorgeous, and that's ended up why I ended up giving it 3 stars, but honestly, it's more of like a 1.5 star for content and like a 5 star for the illustrations. The illustrations are beautiful and to die for, and I just kind of gave them all 3 stars this morning because I didn't know what to think. But the more I think about them, the more like harmful I feel they are towards kids. And I mean, I don't think they'll like scar children, but I think there's other books we can give to children that will teach them more about how being themselves is a good thing. So, thank you, Diana. Me too. It was great. So, anyway, that's how I felt about these. I don't know. I'm honestly very disappointed. I was really, really, really looking forward to these. And they could have been so much better. Ouch, I just banged my elbow. I think I may continue on and read the last 2, mostly for the sake of like the gorgeous art, but disappointed. Anyway, so those are all the books I read this week. I'm really pleased that, I mean, even though they were all very short, they were books that most of them have been on my list for a very long time. And I got my thing to just being 12 books behind schedule for 365 books. So I think I'll definitely be able to like get that back on par this week. But then it's Tome Topple next week, starting Friday, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and get some more water because they've drunk it all, and then I think I'm gonna come back and show you guys kind of what I have on my TBR for July. So I will be right back. Okay. Oh no, Judith just got here. Sorry. I tweeted you. Diana's not going to do Tome Topple this year. I don't even know what that series is. Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Is that a good series? I haven't really heard much about them. How is To Kill a Kingdom? You're liking it. Libby, how is To Kill a Kingdom? And what is that? What is your double for that book, by the way? Nice. Okay. So. I know it's a Little Mermaid retelling. It's like about sirens, right? It's good so far. Nice. Okay, so here's what's happening in July. Y'all told me, and I was just being a little brat, and I apologize, but I think I am gonna... You guys were telling me about, like, the owls and the newts, and I was like, yeah, but I don't think I want to do them. But I decided to do them. So, I mean, maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll say halfway through the month, I don't want to do this, but I think I'm gonna do... owls throughout July, and then do newts in August with everyone else. So there's like, these are the challenges for the OWLs. Let's see if I can zoom in. Can I zoom in? Can I? I guess I could zoom up here, right? Okay, let's call that good. So these are the challenges, and then these are kind of books that I've just like kind of thrown in there. We'll see. So I think I am going to do that, and I'm going to do it from July 2nd to July 29th. I might even push that back a few days and go all the way to July 31st and do it on July 4th instead, because Tome Topple is going to be going on. So basically first, Tome Topple starts this Friday. I think I'm going to try to read like 3 or 4 tomes. We'll see what happens. I think I can do 3 or 4 tomes. So I think the most important books on my TBR is going to be Wives and Daughters by Elizabeth Gaskell. And that's going to be like my priority for week 1. Along with Caliban's War by James S.A. Corey. Those are going to be like my focus for week 1. And then maybe Soaring by Kristen Ashley as well. But then week 2 is going to be Retellathon. And they overlap by several days. So July 9th, July 10th, July 11th, and July 12th. So 4 days overlap. So I'm going to spend that time reading European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. It's the second book in... Oh gosh, what is it called? The Whatever Society? I don't remember what it's called. The Adventures of the Something Society. I don't remember. But it's a retelling of like a bunch of like classic science fiction. I'm so excited. It comes out on the 10th. It comes out on the 10th. I have it pre-ordered on Audible. And the second it comes in, I'm going to listen to it. And that's going to count as my queer/gender flipped, because it's all about these people's like daughters, and it's like a feminist take on this old science fiction. It's great. I'm so excited. And it's like 720 pages, so it definitely counts for Tome Topple. So I'm going to eat that up the second I get it. I'm expecting to read that like on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I expect to finish it on Thursday. I don't think it will take much longer than that. And then Friday, actually Thursday night, Chris and I are going to drive down to Maryland again, and we're going to be gone for over a week. And so Friday, Saturday, and Sunday that are still part of the readathon, I'm going to try to listen to some books with him and on my own. But I think what I'm going to do is that since the first day of the readathon, of Retellathon, I think I'm going to try to focus on East and try to get through that in between this one. So that way, while those two are going on, I'm still reading like tomes. And I think that's how I'm going to balance it. So anyway, that's my plans for the first couple weeks of July. And then once Tome Topple's over, I think I'm going to stop concentrating. So East, European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman, Spinning Silver, which also comes out on the 10th, and Phoenix and Ashes are all tomes and all retellings, so I could read any of these in that overlap period, but I think I'm just going to focus on these two and see what I get to with the other ones. But then the last 3 days of the readathon are not overlapped with Tome Topple, and I think at that point I'm going to just focus on a bunch of my shorter ones. So I'm probably going to get through a couple more books in Enola Holmes with Christopher, and I'm going to go and read some of the Princess Tales by Gail Carson Levine, and some of these other ones are quite short, and I'm going to try to get through those, so I'm really excited about that. And then for my challenges, I'm not going to read the group read because it's not available on audio, and none of my libraries own it, and I'm not going to go spend like $10 on a Kindle book. No. So I'm not going to read it. The next one is to read a retelling of your favorite fairy tale. I've actually already read Wildwood Dancing before. It's a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, but I think I was maybe like 15 or 14 and I don't remember anything about it, so I'd like to reread it. A queer or gender-flipped retelling, European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman, a retelling of a fairy tale from your heritage, All the Ever Afters, which is French. It's a Cinderella retelling. French blood, and I was trying to find a Hungarian retelling because I definitely have more recent Hungarian blood than I do for like French blood, but I couldn't find a fairy tale that I felt like reading, and most of them weren't very popular, and I don't know if I could have found a retelling for them, so I decided to go with French and be boring. So this is a new one that's like from the stepmother's point of view, and then a retelling with a dark twist. I want to read the Villains collection. It's like I think there's 4 of them now, but they're like the retellings from like the villain's point of view from like Disney movies, and Sylvia really likes them. And then these are some other ones that I have on my list that I'm hoping to get to that week. We'll see what happens. I'd also really like to get to Leaping Beauty by Gregory Maguire. And, oh gosh, what was I going to say? For my favorite fairy tale, actually, growing up was, The Tinderbox. But I couldn't find a retelling of The Tinderbox, so I decided to go with one of my other favorite fairy tales instead. I honestly could have gone for Cinderella with this one as well, because even though I don't really love Cinderella as a fairy tale, I think it's an excellent fairy tale to be retold, and it's one of my favorite ones to be retold because I think it's one of those fairy tales that in a retelling really shows the cleverness of the writer, because there's so many ways that you can muck it up, and if an author can do a good Cinderella retelling, then they're almost immediately in my good graces. Anyway, you need to get Spinning Silver. Naomi Novik is going to be at a convention you're going to. And you'd like to get that and Uprooted signed. Yeah, I'm hoping I like Spinning Silver more than I liked Uprooted. Uprooted I would not consider to be a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but since Spinning Silver is definitely a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, I'm a lot more excited for it, and I think it's gonna be more up my alley. I would love to see more like Baba Yaga and stuff in it, though. If she can tie more like Russian folklore in, that would be the dream. See, I didn't love Uprooted. I gave it 3 stars, but I'm still very excited about Spinning Silver. I think it has a lot of potential, and the cover is gorgeous. Anyway, so this is my plans for Retellathon. Enola Holmes is definitely going to be one of my top ones, and I have more books that I didn't even add to this list, like Rowan Hood I'd really like to get to, and other things like that. Anyway, and then for the OWLS exam, I didn't fill in all of these. We'll see how I go. I'm not going to even touch anything from this or concentrate on anything from that until after the 15th, after Retellathon is over. And then I decided to go and plan out my Ripped Bodice bingo and my summer romance bingo, just because I want to make sure that I stay on top of it. Some of these do have overlap with my other ones, which is fine, but I don't know what to choose for carriage sex, because I don't know if I'm going to roll across a book that has carriage sex in it. I don't know what to do for heroines' eyes are described using the ocean. I've heard that these books have them, so we'll see if I feel like reading those, but we'll see. Extreme Location, I have no clue what to read for, and then these other ones I'm going to try to fit in, but I have all the way through the end of August to get through these ones. And some of these books have overlap as well. And then for Summer Romance Book Bingo, I was able to connect some of these. So like book with author writing under a pseudonym, I'm going to read book 1 in the series, and then book 2 has a hero named Harry, and so that works and that ties in together. And then like About That Night I have crossover for, Raven Boys I have crossover for, things like that. So I was trying to like get these connected as best as I could, and we'll see how that goes. The Ripped Bodice Book Bingo, I just follow the Ripped Bodice on Instagram, so when they posted that they were doing another book bingo this year, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And then I just follow Sarah's channel, Not Just Romance Novels, and so when she announced that, I decided to participate. OWLS, somebody here told me about, I think it was Elizabeth's Spooky House of Books. You're the one that told me to do this, right? Asked if I was doing newts, right? Wasn't it you? Anyway, and then Retellathon, I follow Kara's channel because Kara's amazing. And then Tome Topple, I mean, it's been going on for so many years. It's been going on since, we're just coming up on the 2-year anniversary, I think. I don't know if Katrina's been updating her readathon calendar. And there's also readathon news on Twitter. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. I want this one instead. Readathon calendar, there we go. Yeah, she hasn't updated this in a bit. But here's more ones that were happening in June. Oh, so no, she has updated it now. Okay, it wasn't updated when I looked at it last week, so if you look at July, they're just not on here for some reason, but they're all in the list down here. Okay, so let's see. Reading Woman was happening in June. Okay, so July, because dragons. Ooh. Readathon, which I'm not participating in. Sci-Fi July, nope. Empty Shelving, nope. High Summer, nope. Book 2 Rereadathon, nope. A Yearathon, TBR Catch-Up, nope. Retellathon, absolutely. Why are there 2 Because Dragons back to back? And then Book 2-Bathon, I don't know if I'm doing. We'll have to see. A fantasy with red on the cover. Yeah, I'm not going to do this. I don't have time to do this if I'm doing Tome Topple, so okay, not happening. And then, I don't know if there's any for Readathon News Twitter. Oh, you know what another one that I kind of want to do is, the book Buddyathon. It's happening July 20th through the 27th. It's a maybe, because it's the Love Island edition. Which I've never watched Love Island, and I don't think I have any desire to watch Love Island, but I like Elena, and I like book Buddyathon. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, but she didn't, like, volunteer. Like, she was chosen. Which is kind of the difference between Beauty and the Beast as well. Like, I don't know. I didn't think it was similar enough to call it a Beauty and the Beast retelling. You love the idea of readathons, but when it's time, I don't want to read anything related to the prompts. I'm pretty good at predicting my mood for the next, like, several weeks. So I guess I'm lucky in that regard. But if I do anything further out than that, I'm not usually super great. Okay, let me see. Oh, this is so cute. I didn't know that they ever put it into a thing like that. That is adorable. How did I never see this? Well, probably because I wasn't on BookTube through all of March and April and most of May. Oh, I love that. Yes. Okay. Okay, so, the other thing I wanted to look up is I want to go under community, groups. Let's see, my group. Unapologetic romance readers. Challenge logs. Okay. And let's see what I have left here. Okay. So Chicklet can disappear. Well, so can all of these. All of these. This one. This one. This is not all things that I'm going to read in July. I just want to have these, like, down. And I did read a sports romance this week, so I'm just going to take that right off. Okay, so these are all the ones that I have left. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 left. I technically just read another historical romance, so I might as well cross it off. I wonder if I could use that historical romance that I just read as a dark romance. I don't know. What does a dark romance mean? That's my question. Dark romance, Goodreads. Okay. Zero are on my to read shelf. And I don't really want to read books like super out of my comfort zone. Oh, that's another thing I want to add to my July TBR for Tome Topple. I also want to fit in, so who knows where all these things will fit in, but, what is it called? Because I have it checked out from the library right now, and I'd really like to get to it. The Woman's Hour. And I don't know how long this one is. I think it's like maybe 420 pages, but she said other editions can count, and there's another edition that's like 550 pages. So it counts. I think it's like maybe a 19-hour audiobook or so. Anyway. Dark romance. What the heck does that mean? Yeah, like none of these are on my TBR. And I don't want to read things that I have no interest in at all. I don't know. If you have any recommendations, let me know. I think Kit Rosha might be on here. I'm just trying to scroll through and see if there's any on my like tentative TBR, my future TBR. Okay. Night, which I give 1 star. Twilight's a dark romance. Oh geez Louise. Girl in 6E, which I could use, but I think I'm too much of a scaredy cat to read Girl in 6E. Like, I want to read it, but I think I'm too scared. Okay. New Moon. Yay. Yeah. Kit Rosha. I don't know if... Oh, geez. So they do exist on audio, at least. I don't know. We'll have to see. I've heard good things about Kit Rosha, but I don't know if they're the author for me. I just feel like these are all like bondage books, and no thanks. Best dark non-BDSM romances. That sounds better. But I don't think any of these are on my TBR. Tiger Eye by Marjorie Liu, but there are other books that I'd rather read by that author before I read that one. Well, frick. I don't know. Let me know if you have any recommendations, because I'm kind of stumped over this one, honestly. And this may be just the category that I skip. Who knows? I feel like What's-Her-Face's books would count for this. What is her name? Sonali Dev. I feel like book 3, especially book 3 and book 4 of her Bollywood series would really count for this, but I've already read them. Whoops. So, anyway, I think at some point I'm gonna go through, some of these have a lot of overlap, like a cowboy romance would fit, and Ollie will pull the historical romance off. I don't know. Do I want to be a cheater and count Bare Knuckle Bastards, Wicked and the Wallflower as a dark romance? It's... I don't know. It's not that dark. It's... He's afraid of the dark. And they were, like, forced to fight each other as, like, children. And he, like, lived on the streets as, like, a child. Does that count? I know. And I know there's nothing wrong with the reread, but I don't know if I want to reread it. I was so, like, emotionally scarred after reading that book. I just don't know if I can go through it so soon after. Like, I just read book 3, I think I read last July, and then book 4 I just read, like, 3 months ago. And I think I'm just too emotionally traumatized still, because they kind of, like, absolutely pushed me through the ringer, emotionally wise. I don't think I can bear reading them. I don't know. For now, I'll get rid of historical romance. I'm sure I'll read, like, a billion more of those before. So this leaves me with this small little amount, and I know most books that I want to read from most of these. So yeah, it'll be good. And a lot of these do have a lot of crossover, so that works. Alright, so I don't know, I guess that's where I will end today. I'm very happy with my reading this week. I just read a lot of really good things, and like this morning, before this morning, I was feeling like so 100% happy with my reading for this week. I was like, yes, I know I read a couple crappy books at the beginning, but the rest of everything else I read was really good. And then I read like 5 books that I didn't like this morning, and I was like, well, I guess that's what you get for reading books that you've been really excited about reading for a long time. So, but everything else was so good, and if I could choose one thing that I most recommend you reading this week, it would definitely be Mrs. Frisbee and the Rants of Nim. It was amazing. Little Moments of Love by Katana Chetwynd. Those would probably be my top 2 favorites. Beezus and Ramona, and Hearts in Darkness and Love and Light. Those are my favorite things that I read this week, and I'm very, very happy with them. I think maybe sometime in the next couple weeks, I'd like to do a live show of the mid-year book freakout tag. I think that would be really fun. We'll see when I fit it in. Maybe, I don't know, sometime soon. I think it would be very enjoyable to do that. When's the last time you read 101 Dalmatians? I don't know. Someone just read it and said that they thought it was, like, it didn't age well, and that there were problematic things in it. Let me know what you think, because after hearing their review of it, I was just kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I want to read that. I've heard that it is very different, though. And I wonder if on, like, the Audible, probably 5 years. Okay. Oh my gosh, why can't I hit keys today? Okay. For Audible Romance Package. What would count as, like, a dark romance? Blackmail? Kidnapping would count. I don't know if I want a kidnapping, though. Yeah. And I totally understand that, but at the same time, I'd almost just rather not read it at all, because then I won't be, like, disappointed. Whoa! Blackmail? This is on my, like, immediate TBR. Maybe I could make that work. Oh, and Mistress. Mistress is also on my immediate TBR. Maybe I could use one of those two. I don't know how dark they are, but maybe. Let's see. Kidnapping. What are more? Troubled marriage. I don't know. I'll keep digging and hopefully try to find something. I don't know. Like, I do like going out of my comfort zone, but I also know what I like. Tragic past. Ooh, good one. This would probably count, but I don't know if that's a good series. And I heard that Maya Banks is a bit intense, so that might work. Paladin of Souls. I didn't even know that counted as, like, a romance. Oh, I love Kate Redding, though. Passion, betrayal, and killer highlights. Oh, great. Ooh. Under Lock by Mariana Zapata. I just read that Mariana Zapata book and loved it. Which one was Whispering Rock? Let me see. But was it good? Oh no, why are you doing that? Stop it. Does that count as a dark romance, Judith? Or is that not dark at all? Oh my gosh, there's 100 full pages of people with tragic pasts. I mean, I have until the end of the year with this one, so I'm not necessarily worried about it. But at the same time, having it set out would be nice, just so that, like, I know there's something I can fall back on if I don't end up reading something else that fits. You've read Rock Addiction, right, Diana? Would that count as a dark romance? Yeah or nah? I've heard good things about Robin Carr, but I haven't read anything by her yet. But yeah, a ton of her books are on here. As we just passed 2 more. 3 more. 4 more. 5 more, 6 more. Apparently all of her books are just people with dark pasts. 7. 8. 9. 10. Oh my gosh, so many Robin cards. The circumstances could count as dark. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll just have to use that. I feel like Gina Showalter might count, but I have also heard not great things about her recently, so who knows? I feel like for this category, they just put every single book that has dark in the title in here as well. I guess I could use this as a dark romance. It's not really a dark romance, though. He just has a troubled past. And it wasn't that dark itself. I don't know. Escaping a Killer would count, probably, as a dark. Oh, geez. Read some Kristen Ashley. Some Maya Banks. Yeah, I don't know. This is something I'll just probably spend a couple hours doing. Just going through here and seeing ones that maybe would count. Or maybe going through the Goodreads list again and seeing if there's any that appeal to me. Or maybe I'll go find some of my romance friends on here who have like a billion different, categories that they list things as, and then I can go and come for Bigfoot. I heard lots about that book. Anyway, maybe I will see, and I hated this one. Oh, hi, Bruna. I think I'm going to be ending now anyway. You didn't miss much. I've just been trying to figure out some more books for my TBR, but I'm just getting I don't know. Most of these books are books that I'm not super interested in, so I'll have to see what I actually end up using. Alright, well, I'll end off today, but yeah, I'll be back soon. And soon meaning in the next week or two, or in the next week or so. And hopefully I'll be able to do some interesting live shows. I think I also want to do a live show of recommending books for Read-Telethon, and also recommending what books not to read for Read-Telethon, like my favorite and least favorite fairy tale retellings, and just kind of going over them. I think that would be fun. Anyway, I love hanging out with you too. I'm always so glad, and I love doing these, and they're so fun. So, anyway, I wouldn't do them if you guys weren't so awesome and so engaging. Alright, so I'm gonna end up now, but thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it much, and I will see you all in a week, hopefully sooner. Bye, everyone.